Let what is unseen become undeniable.
We're talking about journaling today, which has been the biggest contributor to my happiness in the last 5 years. We go through life with a certain set of dreams or intentions, and then the days go by, the weeks go by, the months go by, before you know it's years, and then it gets buried in this thick cake, what I've called the dust of life. Journaling or writing is taking a daily mental and emotional bath. It's really about owning our life's narrative. The narratives that we tell ourselves, who we want to be, really shapes our actions, the kind of decisions we make. If we don't slow things down to create some space in between the daily grind, you're not intentionally writing your life's narrative. Today, I'm going to share with you how I do it, and it's a lot easier than you might think, as well as what you need to get started. And towards the end, I will share with you a set of tips that will set you up for success on your new journaling journey. Let's begin. So why journal? I think a lot of it has to do with the narrative of our lives, whether it's our corporate lives to become the best manager, the best artist, the best partner, or parent, or friend. However, often we're not really thinking about why we want to become something and whether or not we're taking the right path towards it. We are inherited these stories of who we want to become. Through the writing process, I have realized so many epiphanies about myself. I am wrestling back the pen of my personal narratives rather than somebody else's or society's. Journaling is a highly personal practice whereby you're digging into your feelings, your emotions, and your thoughts. And by externalizing it, you can start parsing through all the chaos that is just happening here and here. Let me read through a few entries and it'll make a lot more sense. This was written last month. Surrender. What does it mean? Perhaps it is the evolution of letting go. To the extent I let all that transpires in the universe unfold without my control, to simply let life's moments pass through me, unobstructed, completely open to all possibilities, letting each experience, no matter how beautiful or terrible, nourish me. You can already see my journaling is a reflection of some of the questions I'm asking myself. This is where I'm exercising my intentionality. I wrote this last month right before I boarded a plane to Shanghai. I could feel there was a sense of apprehension, of fear of the unknown. I wanted to address that in the form of a question rather than an affirmation, because I think questions are really, really important rather than answers, so that it allows that openness for us to live into our own truths. Our personal answers can only come from personal questions, whereby our human minds cannot help but start searching for the answers in the world once a question is asked. Our only job from an intentional standpoint is just to come up with the original question in the first place, and then let life answer it over time. Journaling are these checkpoints for me to go, okay, I've lived enough. I've lived like 2-3 days or a week or a month. Where am I on that progression of answering that question? So for this one, it was, what does it mean to surrender? What does it mean to let go of control and just be completely open to the different experiences that are going to await me in this new adventure? 4 days later, I had landed and I wrote, well, we finally made it. How do I feel? A bit foreign, but really quite excited. No expectations to whatever that unfolds. I'm not sure what to write. Maybe there isn't anything to write today. Maybe it's just letting it all sink in. The main thing, to free myself from myself. That's the ultimate goal. Everything else can flow from there. I expend minimal effort, and that's all that's needed. The most important question for stream of consciousness journaling is just to ask yourself, how do you feel? And be honest with your journal. This is truly an on-demand therapist that's always at your fingertips. 3 days later, I wrote, Shanghai is starting to grow on me. The city hasn't changed, obviously, which means I'm changing. What changed? I pushed above 70 sleep score. Also, day 4 in a row of yoga. So the body is getting into better shape, which means my baseline physical energy is improving. Food here is also healthy, cheap, and accessible. So sleep, exercise, diet, check. Next is my psyche, mental, emotional health. I've released a lot of the negative energy through more positive social interactions. It feels like I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, my life tasks. Pulse checks are really important, especially when you're in a state of transition. This is where you can cultivate mindfulness. Writing and mapping helps you become more mindful or aware of your personal reactions to the external world. Otherwise, you're just going to be running like a hamster wheel, repeating the same cycles over and over again, and not knowing why it is that you're getting triggered. The way that I find that writing fits is in this framework of react, where you're just reacting to the world, and then reflect, where you're slowing down, ask yourself some very important questions, and to integrate some of these answers periodically into yourself. Cultivating that awareness is the first step of getting out of this reactionary trap. I'll read you one final entry to give you a sense of how I start with these questions all the time. What is unconditional happiness? It's a commitment to be happy no matter what, to keep my heart open no matter what, to not resist life's events, to neither push life away nor pull it towards me, to be truly present in every moment. Last night reminded me of what happens when I did that. A whole series of events transpired to bring everyone together in one place. The beginning for some, the end for others. Energy is constantly moving, constantly shifting. Even in this moment, I feel my personal mind anticipating the future, not content with the present, wishing to change factors beyond my control. This was following a really amazing night where I had gone to what's called a home bar with some of my new friends in Shanghai. And it was a going away party for some people who are leaving the city to go on to next stages of their lives. For me, it was the beginning because I had just arrived and I had also just met some amazing people. And the only reason I could have ended up there was because I had opened up my heart to whatever the universe may bring. Without this journaling practice, I think it would have just gone by in a blur, just another Saturday night. But by slowing down, I can truly appreciate these as stories in my personal book of life. Hello there. If you are enjoying this video so far, please consider giving a like or even better, a subscribe. And if you want to dive deeper into this topic, I have an extended learning edition in Mind Map Nation that covers nuance, insights, and many more examples. Check out the link below for more details. All right, let's get back into it. First of all, what you want to get is a notebook. I happen to have a traveler's notebook. This thing has gone with me all over the world. What I love about it is that you can put multiple different types of inserts like these. For me, I typically have a lined paper for journaling and then a blank for mapping. These are two very different modes of thinking, feeling, and processing. Writing is a highly emotional, linear process where you're pouring your heart onto the paper, whereas mapping is a very cerebral, deconstructive exercise. So they both have their uses. I know a lot of folks like typing things out. I would highly recommend going the analog route. You don't need more screen time. You need more time connecting with the physical world. You're engaging your mind, you're engaging your hands. There's something so satisfying about the pen moving across the paper and then making that sound. For me, it really feels like drawing. You don't need to have fancy cursive or writing. That's not the point. The point is to be connected with what you are doing, not distracted. Make it a daily practice. Think about it as a daily shower for your mind. I usually like to do it in the morning because that is when my ego or the filter of my mind is still asleep. So I'm able to do a more clean stream of consciousness directly from my mind or my heart without judging what's happening onto the paper. Of course, you can also do it at night, but for me, writing actually stimulates my mind. When I start with a question or a prompt, the words just pour out, and before I know it, I'm journaling for an hour and a half, and I have pages and pages of it. That's when I know I've got a really good session going on. There's a lot of things inside of me that I just have to express and release. But the flip side of that is my mind is now in heightened state, and that's sometimes difficult for me to fall asleep. You might be different. So this is where you want to try out the best time it is for you to journal. But once you find that optimal time, stick with it for at least 2 weeks. Make it a life sprint goal. just start writing. I often hear people go, in the future when I'm in a better place, or when I'm ready, when I have more time. But guys, you cannot afford not to reflect. Life is short. To go through it asleep, unintentional, you can't not afford not to have a reflection process in place. It will amplify all of your decisions downstream, I promise you. In fact, the more turbulent of a life stage you are in, the better it is to start writing out. The more important it is to start offloading your mind, either in epiphany maps or in journaling. So go do it now. The other thing I like to do is to draw a picture in the beginning of my journal to symbolize what this chapter entails. I either draw this picture beforehand when I start a new journal insert to set my intentions, in the middle of the insert when the themes are starting to emerge, or at the very end as I know, looking back, this is the theme of this particular life season. And this is just a really cool way of a deeper reflection, because one picture can speak 1,000 words, and a symbol, oh my goodness, it encapsulates my hopes, my feelings, my reflections of the last 2-3 months, or the future looking season of life. And it's just really cool to put them side by side at the end of the year to see what had truly transpired over the last 12 months. Finally, go back and read your journal entries. That's why I keep my last life season's journals with me as I start the new one. And what I like to do is, after I finish one, I'll actually go back to the very beginning and read the very first entry to see who I was 2 to 3 months ago, and whether or not the Shane back then with all his questions, have they been answered? And if not, do I need to either discard the questions because they're outdated, or have I found my answers because I have lived into them? This is inspired by Rainer Maria Rilke, my favorite poet's passage about loving life's questions, loving them like doors we can't open yet, or books written in a foreign language we don't know yet. The only way to answer these questions is to love them, be patient with them, so that one day we may live into the answers. Journaling is learning that language so we can unlock our deepest life questions. Thank you for joining me today. Check out below for some more resources to get you started on your own journaling journey. I wish you the best, and let me know in the comments how I can help. I'm here for you. Until next time, take care.